Medicine Awards. Okay, so he made his money here. Probably, actually, he made a lot of money selling Lucky Strike cigarettes. So probably he felt guilty about it, and he set up this huge thing. And that's just one. Rosser Reeves, invented USP. Marion Harper again built a great agency by building partnership with client. David Ogilvy's book is full of these partnerships where he could pick up the phone and talk to clients. And therefore, admin were not just clever wordplay, but they were actually partners to their clients. The clients could call them, ask them for advice, right? And say, look, I have a problem with my product sales. Can you come and help me? This is something which therefore adds value, and therefore the client will pay you what you want, right? And this is not some remote thinking, and there are enough stories in India, and there are enough stories in Chennai. Okay. I remember when I was running Ulka here. I remember I think Cabin Care launched Fairhour, right? And Fairhour had saffron in it. The idea of putting a saffron in the cream was given by the agency. I mean, that's a breakthrough idea, a product idea, nothing to do with advertising. And an agency gave that to the client, right? That's the kind of stuff which we can do. And question is, probably we're not doing enough. Okay? So let me now try and take you through what I believe are 6 learnings, of my, what we do at Ulka. This is no way to say we are perfect. We are far from perfect. But there are 6 learnings I thought will be useful for all of you to kind of appreciate and figure out how you can apply it in some small way in your day-to-day life. First one is, we need to invest in our clients' business. I don't think we as agencies do enough of this at all. By invest, I don't mean buying into the client's company shares, though you'll be amused to know that Albert Lasker owned at one point of time 26% of Pepsodent. Before it was sold to Lever Brothers, he owned 26% of the company, and he actually used to invest. He actually owned a lot of his client company shares, large numbers. But I'm not talking about that. I think we need to invest in understanding the consumer, understanding the retailer, understanding the market, and that's the investment we need to do. That's the R&D we need to do. And so, let's 2 small examples. I mean, we have a huge stake in our group working with the auto consumer. So our client didn't ask us, but 10 years ago we actually did a study across India, talked to 350 automobile customers, and wrote this thing called the Auto Mood, which is about how the Indian consumer interacts with automobiles, right? And then 4 years ago we repeated it, so we called it the Auto Mood 2. Now no client asked us to do it, right? But was our client very happy to see it? Yes. Did this mean therefore my clients rated me a little better in terms of what value I can add to his business? Yes. Right. Now, a few months ago we were having this debate in our office saying, how do you value add to a client? How do you give him inputs? And all of us come across clients who are very nasty. Right? There are some clients who say, yeah, I know everything. Tumko bola, khada raha. So, my colleague who heads planning in Bangalore came with this lovely theory called client-agency relationship is like Eric Burns, or was it this parent-child, parent, adult, child-parent, right? Or that's Eric Burns stuff, right? Transaction, TA, yeah, transaction analysis. I'm okay, right? Yeah, I'm okay, yeah, great. So he said, look, what if I apply client-agency relationship, the principles of I'm okay, you're okay. So he said, look, Ambi, there are some clients who actually look up to us as God, right? They actually think we had a lot of value. Yeah, So before you even think of launching a product, you call the agency in, ask them what do you think, So that's where agency is parent and the client is child. Right? Because अब बताओ क्या करना है. Okay? And there are a lot of clients who do that. Okay? Then of course there is and in those kind of clients, you're going and talking to them is value addition. They you won't spend half a day talking to them, they feel very thrilled, they think it's value addition, and if you do some little dipstick research, they'll be very happy. Second type of client is the parent-parent client, where I know what I know, you know what you know, let's talk. Okay, so that's good relationship, parent-parent. Right? How do you demonstrate value to a parent-parent? Stuff like this, stuff like auto move. Yeah, okay, this is good, you guys have done this, I like it, thank you very much. When are you doing the next one? Great. Then you ask a question, look, what about this particular client? He thinks he's the parent and I'm the child. How do I demonstrate value to this client? All that he says is, I briefed you for that ad, where is that ad? Okay. So we brainstorm, for a couple of hours, say, look, how do you demonstrate value to this channel? And what we realized, that one thing which even the toughest of tough clients appreciate from an agency is hard work. Okay. And which is the hardest type of work which an agency can do? Any guess? Market visit. Market visit is something which the client understands. Okay. So I turn around and tell this toughest of tough clients, two of my account executives went and spent the last week across these 4 cities, small towns, visiting 40 dealers every day. And this is the report they have. Will the client say, yeah, I want to see that report? Chances are highly likely. Okay. Once you've done that, the relationship changes a little bit. Okay, it still doesn't become parent-parent, it is still parent-child, but a slightly grown-up child, right? Parent-teenage kid, okay, teenage. I will not stand up when you walk into the room, but I don't expect you to stand up when I walk into the room. So, if we think, and if we can sit and say, look, how do we invest in understanding a client's business? Can we categorize our clients and figure out, okay, we have these 6 clients, we have these 8 clients, these clients we can do value addition very easily, these clients we actually have to do hard work, then that's something which we can invest in. Right? And it's not, and let's be honest, I mean, I've been a client, one thing which agencies hate to do is market research, even today. Right? They don't mind, nowadays they don't mind sitting in the office going through Facebook, they don't want to go into the market. I remember we had done a big launch for a client earlier this year, and I was asking the account director, how did the launch go? So the launch went very well, sir. So, have you done any market visit? Sir, परसों मैं supermarket जाके So then I used Choices Executives. Sir, is the biggest client you have. You guys have not even gone and spent 2 days in the market to know what's happening, how is the retailer reacting to the new pack, what is happening to merchandising. Sir, we are very busy, no? Busy doing what? Facebook? Twitter? And believe you me, if you tell your client, boss, for 2 days, I'm not going to be available, I'm going to do market visit, the client is going to say, go ahead. These things can wait for 2 days. Right? So I believe the first thing is investing in the client's business, investing in understanding our client's business, investing in understanding our client's consumers, our client's channel. And I think a lot of agencies, us included, not doing a great job in this. So that's really the first lesson. The second is the briefing process. Right? Are we questioning the brief? Are we questioning it again? So this is an example. I'll not take you through the whole case studies. This is Tata Teleservices are launching Tata Docomo, and we were sitting and talking to them, and they said, no, we want to make it a very youthful brand. They've done that nice logo from Wolf Hollins. Want a very youthful brand, exciting brand. So we said, look, that's fine. you are the 8th brand in every market you're going to enter. 8th. Why will any consumer look at you? So then they said, look, so what do you guys suggest? So we said, look, can you give us something different, some product innovation, something different. So they went back to the drawing board, came back and said, look, there is only one product which we think we can give, which is this, we can do per second pulse. So we said, what do you mean? So, instead of the pulse being 1 minute, 60 seconds, we can do a per second pulse. But we feel it's not a great product because, BPL tried it in 2 markets, didn't work. Tata Indicom tried it in 2 markets, didn't work. So we don't think it's a great product, but that's the only product we have. So we said, okay, that's a product. And let's go back and see what we can do with it. Okay. So from there came the idea of this entire concept of per second billing. And then we launched, Tata Docomo with this, advertising, which you might have seen, but I'll play just one ad in that series.
When life can change in seconds, why pay in minutes? Pay per second. Only on Tata Docomo.
So this entire strategy came up because the agency stood up and questioned the brief, saying this brief is inadequate. I need a new brief. I need a new product. I cannot advertise a youthful, exciting brand as the 8th brand in the market. You will fail. You will fail dramatically. It's another matter. This created, Docomo went on to be the number 1 brand for several months, and it changed the whole industry. Right? The industry became per second billing. Per second billing was coined by us. There's nothing like billing because most of the consumers are, prepaid consumers. You don't get a bill. But we coined this whole term of per second billing and pay per second. This came up because you had the guts to stand up and question the brief of the client. So that's the second simple rule of thumb. When you get a brief, just question it. Okay. Is this the best brief the client can give? Or can there be a better brief? Can there be something more which the client can tell you about his product? Okay. The third is an interesting story. We were called by this client, their leading competitor is an ethical client called Digene, and their main competitor, Gelusil, had gone OTC. I'm talking of 98 or so. And so they wanted to take their brand OTC, and they had hired Accenture, and Accenture had recommended that you should also go OTC. So they called and said, look, we want to take our brand OTC. So we did our analysis, and we actually went and told them that it makes no sense for you to go OTC. Okay, because your brand, by going OTC, your advertising spends will be less than the additional sales you will get. So it's a 50 crore brand, advertising spends would have been 5 crores, okay, and the additional sale you would have got is 4 crores. Okay. So you're going to be losing money. So unless you're looking at a 5-year horizon, don't go OTC. Now, this is scary because here was a chance of us to make money by doing ads and releasing that, but we said no. It's our integrity at stake, and we need to hold the mirror to the client. Finally, I think some wise advertising man said, if the client is going to waste his money, he might as well waste it through my agency. But we said, let's first tell him the truth the way it is. After that, if he still wants to waste his money, he can waste it through our agency. Okay, but in this case, they were actually shaken up because Accenture had recommended they should go OTC. So they said, look, can you repeat your presentation to Accenture? fine, by all means. So we went back and we repeated the presentation and they saw the logic. And then we said one day it will go OTC, but not today, right? And the entire OTC plan got pushed by 5 years, and 5 years later, so 5 years we had an ethical division called healthcare, so they used to do the work, and then 5 years later we went to OTC and we believe we did simple advertising. I mean, this is not rocket science advertising, right? Simple advertising for an antacid, which is a very strong, did reasonably well, in the long term, and when we thought, Gelusil will overtake Digene, Gelusil yet to overtake Digene. Gelusil went OTC 6 years before Digene went OTC, and Gelusil is yet to overtake Digene. They are still, I think, 15% smaller than Digene. So in this case, we said no to short-term revenue because somewhere we felt long-term we will end up benefiting. Okay. So a lot of times we as agencies have this tendency to grab whatever money is on the table and run. Sometimes it's worthwhile leaving the money on the table and say, look, I'll come tomorrow, this money would have grown by then. Okay. So that's the moral of that story. The fourth is that in advertising there are no easy options. Okay. We have to stick our neck out if we believe in something. Okay. And if it means your neck gets, so be it. That's why we are in advertising. We are not in some corporate, white collar job, right? So, this is a client of ours which we've been working with Santur for well over 20 years, and we made this film, and the marketing team endorsed this film, ran this, they love this film. But I'll play the ad and then we'll talk about it. When we made the film, the marketing team liked it, we liked it, but someone senior in the organization said no, this is not a hard-working film, and we always make very strong hard-working films. We should not run this film. So the marketing team came up to me and said, look, now you have to stick your neck out. So I said, what about you guys? And they said, no, our neck is a little more valuable, your neck is a good one to do. I said, okay. Anyway, I'm going to be 60 produced films. So I said, okay, I'll stick my neck out. So I went up to the client and said, look, and I thought I put a good stunt. So I said, look, I know you don't think this is as per our normal template. We think it's a nice film, and we're trying to attract a new set of consumers into our brand. So take it home, show it to your wife, show it to your daughter. If they don't like the film, call me, and I will quit advertising. So he said, what? Yeah, I'll quit. Done. I'm gone. So he was joking. I said, no, I'm serious. He said, okay. So he took it home and showed it to his wife.